From there.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Sharifa Updav, your neighborhood clinic. And today we have joining us is Rachel from Peace for DC. Rachel, please tell us about yourself and what your organization does.
Thank you, Dr. Sharifa. I actually have some slides to share. Can I put those up?
Of course you can.
Okay. Sorry, should have mentioned that earlier. Um, but I will just say, yes, my name is Rachel Usdan, and I'm one of the founders of Peace for DC. It's really wonderful to talk with you today. Um, I got into this work because I met a lot of people doing community violence intervention work in DC. I lived in DC for 22 years, and having gotten to know some people on the front lines of that really important work of intervention and prevention, I just became passionate about it and wanted to do what I could to amplify their voices, help bring them more funding, and help coordinate coordinate the work. So help found Peace for DC. This is a picture of our team. We have an awesome group of people working that I get to work with every day. And our vision is a DC that is safe and peaceful for everyone. No one should have to fear gun violence, no matter where you live. And we believe that there are evidence-based solutions, community-led solutions that have been proven to work. And we have just scratched the surface on how much we are investing in that amazing work. And so we want to bring more investment and build capacity and skills for this great work.
That is awesome. Thank you for your organization and what you do. I'm happy to see this very ambitious goal, 60% reduction in gun violence over the next 5 years. That is great, and one of the reasons that I wanted to invite you to talk to educators and educators interested in educator wellness is because since the COVID pandemic, many have indicated that there is a violence epidemic, right? So we went from this sort of medical issue to sort of this broadband community worldwide issue, and that being community violence. What do you think is contributing to the rise of violence currently?
So it's a couple different things. I mean, we're still definitely feeling the repercussions of the pandemic and the void that created for social services and social networks for everyone, but most acutely by those in our community most in need. There's also a proliferation of guns and ease of access, which is a issue across the country. While DC has relatively strong gun laws, we don't have border walls. Our borders are porous. People can come in and out with guns, and we don't have control over the national laws. So you have to look at the root of why somebody would want to pick up a gun. And then sadly, there are many reasons. And when you talk about root causes, poverty, desperation, trauma is also a big reason. I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase hurt people, but often when you look at the details of stories of incidents of violence, there is often something that person, there was a long path of trauma that led this person to that path. But just like hurt people can hurt people, healed people can heal people. And we believe that those closest to the problem are also closest to the solution. And so many of the people that we work with at Peace for DC have done really hard work to turn their own lives around, and now they're trying to pay it forward and help other people not make the same mistakes that they did. And just how violence can also be seen as a root cause, because violence is a cycle, and it prevents economic mobility. It prevents educational attainment. If you're living in a community where there's a lot of gun violence, you're not going to want to go outside and go to the playground. You might not feel safe going to school. Businesses might not want to open. And so, we feel like addressing gun violence head on is important to building up thriving communities, creating social justice and racial equity and all those things. So these are some of the ways on this slide that Peace for DC is trying to address this. And I know you're focused on education community, so I'm happy to talk more about, how to provide more resources and support in the education space.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Like given the specific rise, especially in Washington, D.C., but I think nationally, that there's been a specific rise of juveniles and individuals who are being educated in the K through 12 public or charter school system, being impacted, throughout this grant work, which was funded by OSSI. Several of the schools that your neighborhood clinic partnered with, had students who were sometimes arrested on campus, students who were victims of gun violence. We just had a recent student be a victim of, a stray bullet leaving school just last week. So what advice can you give to K-12 staff for how to promote peace specifically within their classroom and within the larger school system?
Yeah, all the examples you gave are way too common. It's just tragic, and each time something like that happens, that leads to more trauma for everyone in the school, who has to experience that, including the teachers and staff. So let's focus on the solution. So now I'll just start by telling you a little bit about our flagship program, because I feel like some of the things that we've built into the Peace Academy, our flagship program, could be used by teachers, and so I'll get into that a little more. But so the Peace Academy was launched in the summer of 2022, and it's a training program for violence intervention workers. And we launched the program in collaboration with many of the organizations in the community leading this work. And to date, we have almost 100 graduates. We're just about to start our 5th cohort of students in the program. So these are people who work in the community or in hospital-based violence intervention programs to try to mediate conflicts, promote peace, help people get resources, build trust, and most importantly, build trust with the people who are at highest risk of being involved in shootings, being a shooter, or getting shot themselves, and help them turn their lives around. So we have built a curriculum that's focused on healing trauma and helping give these workers more resources and training and skills to be able to do their jobs better. And it's privately funded and taught by a rich network of local experts. So, some of the things we've incorporated here it's based on programs in Los Angeles and Chicago. We really focus on unity and collaboration. The students come from all across the city, from different organizations, different community groups. And so they're getting to know each other, and then they can collaborate better together. And we've really focused on healing, which is something teachers might be able to incorporate into their spaces. There's group healing circles, there's one-on-one sessions with licensed social workers, and one-on-one sessions with life coaches. And there's also classes on how to conduct mediations, how to practice cognitive behavioral theory to heal trauma, how to resolve conflicts, how to hold restorative justice circles, what is healthy masculinity, how to use a tourniquet, how to use Narcan. So it's like a whole variety of things. But I wanted to say that first, and then move into how those types of skills could be utilized in a classroom focused on the K through 12 community. So, the same types of skills that we're teaching could be beneficial to the K through 12 community. Conflict resolution skills, cognitive behavioral theory, which is like thinking through your emotions and your thoughts before you act on them. Meditation and yoga, restorative justice, healthy masculinity, anger management, and communication skills. These are things that everyone needs, and students are certainly included in that. Schools are also, as you know, resource hubs, and they often serve as a community hub for everyone. And so the more that the schools can lean into that and make sure that everyone coming into those spaces can, have what they need, including all the basics: food, shelter, safety, health, and wellness. But then also, schools are a place for fun and joy. And when you have fun and feel joyful coming to school, you know that it's a safe space, and it helps give you hope to, to stay alive, and to focus on positive things. And of course, communication and collaboration are very important. The schools are just one space in the community, and so we do this a lot, just trying to draw on everyone that we work with and make sure everyone is coordinated. If someone knows that there's a kid going through something, let's make sure other people know about that so we can work together to come up with some solutions. If this family needs support, let's all lean in together and give them support. So I just listed off a few of the people in the community who are connected with schools. And I'm sure a lot of the K through 12 staff and educators that you work with already know and do a lot of these things. But if your audience is interested in learning more about the Peace Academy or connecting with any of the amazing instructors who teach these topics in our school to help teach them in to the K through 12 community, that I'd be happy to make those connections. And I did want to share like 2 other resources that I think would be helpful to educators.
Mm-hmm.
The first is, this is just a snapshot, but the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council did a really interesting study a few years ago on the root causes of juvenile justice system involvement. So why are kids getting caught up in violence? Why are they getting arrested? And what can we do about it? So they point out these root causes, not to say, these are bad kids, but to say quite the opposite. These are the risk factors. We can go and focus our efforts on helping these kids because they need the help the most, and it'll go the farthest. And these are just some of the examples, but that whole report has a lot of great recommendations for addressing juvenile violence in a preventative and intervention way, so that we can help kids before they get involved in the juvenile justice system. And then the other recommendation I had, and these might be great speakers for you too, is some of the materials that the Trigger Project has. They talk a lot about adverse childhood experiences, individual and community risk factors. And those are all things that I just wanted to highlight for your audience.
Can you go back to the slide previously real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe walk through with it just a little bit. So one, I see that the highest relative factor was an IEP with comorbid. So that means multiple diagnoses, right? So they may be having an IEP not just only for academic or math or one area, but that there were multiple areas that were being addressed. So if there was no, I think the red is yes, right there.
Um,
And the,
right. The red is yes, and the light color is no.
yeah. So if there was the IEP with multiple comorbid, you see that there was that much of a percentage, right? So
Mhm.
33% versus 10%. Unexcused absences. So there's the average of 13.4 absences. So as unexcused absences increase, that becomes much higher, right? So that also suggests that things that schools can do is to really, really highlight and make sure that they are serving students within their schools as early as possible who are meeting some of these higher um,
Yes,
risk factors.
right.
And really having an absentee task force, really connecting with different programs that help ensure that students can get to school safely. And like Rachel said, developing some um, community connections to where schools are seen as a safe harbor and as a resource for not just the children, but also the families that these children come from.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not just about making that kid come to school so they don't have the absences, but figuring out what is it, what is causing them to not come, and how can we address those things, and maybe work with the family too to make that happen.
All right. Well, listen, this has been a very informative conversation. You know, we made it short because we know how busy our educators can be. But if people wanted to connect with you locally or nationally, how can they contact you and your organization?
So they can go to our website, peacefordc.org, and we are on all the social media channels at Peace for DC. It's on this slide here, PEACEFORDC. And I thank you for your work, and I think all the teachers, being a teacher, being an educator is hands down, I think, the hardest job. And you have so much respect and admiration, and want to do what I can to help.
Well, thank you so much again for your time today. I appreciate it. And I know, we just started, but I also want to thank you for your work. Helping promote peace in any fashion, in any way is extremely helpful, but especially educating individuals to be ambassadors and change agents and advocates is also wonderful and exciting work. So thank you all too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, this concludes our discussion, and you can continue to peruse our videos on our site. Thank you.